Please share the screen. Anyone, that's fine. Whoever it can. Fastest finger first. Puni. Okay.
No, I executed this yesterday, so to replicate that error only, I kind of
No problem.
opened this.
Yes. So let's go and see what issue are you seeing.
So shall I keep just
Okay.
this thing here?
Before going to that, see there is system exception and successful. Do you know why these are being used?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So Swapna, can you please explain me what is successful and what is system exception? How are we checking? Swapna, please unmute and talk.
Like, yes, Vajay. Like, if there is any exception while initializing,
Okay.
it will throw system exception. Otherwise, it will be successful.
Okay. So what is it exactly checking?
Like, it will initialize all the variables, right? In the
Simple
initialization
question,
section.
Swapna. What is it checking? Okay.
Mm,
Click on successful, Pune. Yeah. Don't. Yeah. So if you see here, what is the condition?
Condition six system exception is nothing.
Okay. So when system exception is nothing, where is it going? Get transaction data. Scroll down.
Yes.
So when the system exception is not nothing, then go to end process. Simple. So
Yes.
what are we checking? We are checking system exception variable.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Go back to general business.
When do we get system exception?
Okay. Go to initialization state. Open. See, this is try catch block.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, when you minimize try, click on minimize try. Click on that arrow. Try block. Yeah. In the catch, open catch. Open exception. Yeah. So this is where system exception will be assigned. So until and unless goes into catch, it will not be assigned.
Sorry, can you repeat again in the catch block what it does?
It's assigning system exception to whatever exception it has.
Okay.
Okay. So if system exception is not available, then by default it will be nothing. But if there is any exception, then it will be assigned.
Okay.
Okay. Are we done with this?
Yes.
What is this one? What is happening here? There is an exception they've written here.
That's a variable
What is
that will be automatically generated. For example, if you are creating a read data table, then there will be we need to write a variable name, right?
yeah?
dt
So that
underscore
variable will
variable.
catch that exception and it will assign it to this. Is it?
Correct. So it's a dynamic variable. It's of exception type exception, and it will not be available in variables panel.
Ah, that's what I was wondering. Oh, it's uniquely placed. So
Yes.
it's a dynamic variable, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
And when do we get system exception,
Any
Vajran?
any error that happens while we are working on the init state. It not only in the init state, like any unhandled business exception is a system exception. You can treat any exception as system exception if you ask me.
Mhm.
Okay.
All
Please see
exceptions.
here it's clearly written that failures during initialization are considered system exceptions and lead to end process state, thus finalizing the execution. So any kind of except we should not have any exceptions in the init state.
Okay.
For example, if we need to read an Excel and Excel failed, config sheet is not available, then it's an exception. We cannot continue further. Okay, so even that is a system exception.
So all exceptions will be assigned to the system exception, right?
Any kind of exception that is in the initialization state will be assigned to system exception.
Okay.
So business rule exception will happen only in process state, because this is where we are actually executing the process. Okay.
Yes, Vajra.
Okay, Vajra.
I think this was stuck. Puni, your machine was stuck. Please unmute and talk.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what happened. You're able to hear me now, right?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
So shortcut to unmute yourself is Control Shift M. If you press Control Shift M at any point of time, the meeting will be.
Oh, Control Shift and M, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. Yeah, you're showing some exception. Go ahead and show me.
So I will put this init phase. I'll put a debug here and I'll just run it so that one cycle is completed. I want to see if it comes back here.
Okay. So
Correct? No
what
Swapna and
do you mean
others.
by cycle?
Cycle is, see, what happens is first we started with general business process and then
Okay.
we went into initialization.
So it should move either into end process or get transaction data.
Yeah, so what we saw yesterday, I don't know whether we missed anything there, but we felt it came back here and it was getting into initialization again.
Okay. So what can you do is click on debug file, and
Debug what?
use log activities and highlight elements. Yeah,
Okay.
and also execution trail.
Sorry, and
Exec
also?
execution trail.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. I just run it now.
Yeah, debug
Okay.
debug
Debug,
file.
okay.
So where did it went?
Yeah, it went to get transaction.
Yeah, it will go into get transaction only.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yesterday we were doing step in two. I don't know. Uh, somebody else, please let
Yeah,
me
yeah.
know. Isn't it? I don't know
Yeah,
what did
yeah.
we do wrong
What will
or
happen? I'll try to explain you. So when this is completed, main. So when this execution is completed, then it will go back to get business rule exception. So it will take its scope and then it will come back to get transaction data. I think once it went into get business rule exception, you stop the process. That's
yeah,
fine.
maybe I
Yeah.
okay. Okay,
Once you
fine.
execute it again, then it will continue. Okay.
Okay, fine.
So
Yeah.
let's go. So should I need to explain it again completely?
Yes, Vajram.
Okay. So in the initialization state, Puni, is it your machine that we have created a file?
Yeah, I have files in my machine as well.
RPA samples? Okay, open website. So what exactly do we need to open in expand all? So we need to initialize the process and we need to get items, right? So where
Yeah.
are we doing that? We need to do it only once, right? So
Yeah.
that should be written, the code should be written in first run. So whatever code we have, we for reading the data and all in the dispatcher process, that we need to get it from here. So what we'll do, we'll add this or invoke this particular workflow here. Just drag and drop. So drag and drop will give us invoke workflow. Okay. Now if you import arguments, so there are no arguments that are available. So open workflow. So I think the data is available in Sudhira's machine, but fine. Let's go ahead and add open browser. So in this open browser, we will add argument. So we'll take a in argument. So any kind of data that we are getting from other workflow, we will give it as in argument. Okay. So why exactly are we giving it? Because we maintain this in asset, and asset we will get it from config
Yeah.
in URL. So if you want to test it directly, you can directly add values here.
RPA. Sorry. I tried helping you.
No, don't try.
Okay.
Okay. So rpsamples.com is what we need to open. And here in the open browser, by default, it will be Internet Explorer. Okay. So here the browser type is what you can choose. Browser type is Internet Explorer, or you can also use Chrome. But let's go ahead and debug.
Vajrang, how do we get the assert? We created a URL assert, right?
Yeah,
How do we get that?
we didn't go till there.
Okay.
Let's just check whether this workflow is working or not.
Okay.
So what do we have? We have later. So we have this particular workflow. Then we can use directly uh, supply chain management system, suppliers. So suppliers is what we are checking, or opportunities.
We were working on opportunities.
That is.
Excel.
Sales opportunities. So we need to navigate into opportunities, right?
Yes.
So for that, what I'll do,
We need
I
to
will
change
add
the
one more workflow. So why are we adding one more workflow for navigate? Let's assume that in future we want to make multiple other actions.
Navigate spelling.
That's fine. Please excuse me for typos. Okay. And once you have that, what we can do? We can again. So the best way to click something is or use some recording, web recording. Okay, if you go back, record and click on sales opportunities. Hit on escape and then save and exit. Now, if you see attached browser, we have, and in this attached browser, we have click RP samples. And the title is what we have it from here. So if you just go back, so this is what we have. So how can we verify whether this came into RP opportunities or not? Report opportunities. So this is what we need to see. On element appear or element exist can be used. So what on element appear will do, whenever we have RPA opportunities, so it means that we are into correct workflow or correct window. Is it correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So repeat forever should be false because it will keep on checking for that item even if it finds a value. Okay. And there was a question earlier asked like what if there is a pop-up and how can you click on pop-up? Did you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can use on element appear, and if we can wait for some time, like around 30 seconds, and if the value is available, then continue. But if the value is not available, you can just write continue on error to true. So even if there is an error and if we don't find the pop-up, just continue. Don't stop.
Okay.
So that is why we can use it. And here we can mention stating that navigate to opportunities successful. So this is a log message just for ourselves to write so that we can understand, okay, this is successful and we are continuing. Okay.
Mm.
So let's go back and let's debug this workflow.
But if the pop-up appears, then how to handle it?
So if pop-up appears, it will go into on element appear. It will not fail. So here we can write click activity if there is a pop-up inside on element appear. Only
Even if they're unplanned pop-ups, right? Random pop-ups that will occur in the websites.
see when an application is designed, it will be designed in such a way that if there is an activity, then pop-up will appear. A random pop-up cannot be generated over a night, right? It may or may
Yeah.
not be available. So you need to, your answer should be if it is available, what will you do? If it is not available, how will you continue?
Okay.
Yes.
Correct.
So this may or may not be available. So if it is available, you're going and clicking on it. But if it is not available, you'll just click or add continue on error to true so that it will continue with the next steps.
Yeah.
Now, how to click on the pop-up, Vajra? Suppose if the pop-up appears.
Use click activity inside this. Pop-up is available here. So you are going to click. That's all.
Okay.
Then where do we use this tick branch and parallel activity?
Okay. See, parallel activity. So this on element appear can be placed inside a parallel activity.
Okay.
So we'll be deviating with our code, but let's understand. That's fine.
Because this is what they're asking again and again. And I've neither used parallel and pick branch. So
Okay.
interview
See
question.
here. This may or may not appear, right?
Yeah.
So when you are adding it in parallel, you can simultaneously add one more activity that you need to work on. So instead of log message, let's say that there is a click activity or any kind of activity, any other activity. Okay. So along with this, you are also checking for a pop-up.
Okay.
So now when this is executing, even this will execute.
Okay.
So let's see, debug. Okay, it's clicking on the sales opportunities. Now, if you see here, both executed at a single time.
Okay.
Okay, and in the output, you can see something like this. Click activity is executed, parallel activity opened. So what do we have? In this parallel activity, log message executing. Okay, log message is another activity. So this,
Okay.
so along with that, we have on element appear activity executing.
But it will execute the block only if there is an element that appears, right? There's a pop-up that appears. Otherwise, that won't execute. Correct? No?
Exactly. So let's assume that we have on element appear. Wait for ready. Timeout. Let's keep it is to 3. So by default, what is the timeout for any activity?
3,000 milliseconds.
30 seconds. That is 30,000 milliseconds.
30 seconds. Okay.
Okay, but we changed it to 3 seconds so that it will be faster and it will not wait for 30 seconds to throw an exception or error. Okay, so what we can do, see, there is also a probability that this particular window may or may not be available. For example, see how we normally plan on executing or any coding. So let's assume that this is in this particular window. Okay, go back. So let's understand that it can be in password generator as well, but I would like to navigate to opportunities, sales opportunities. Okay, so how can I do that? Instead of a click activity, I will just add navigate to. So when I use navigate to, it can go into any workflow. Okay, it can be inside opportunities, it can be inside anything, but it will navigate to opportunities by default. So we are already in opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Output. So attached browser executing, this will fail if I'm not wrong, because that will be in the opportunities page. So this attached RPS sample page will be taken from the title of the window. So here, what is the title now?
Sales opportunities.
So we don't have RPS sample page, so it will fail.
Oh.
So this is an exception now.
Okay.
Remote exception, exception details, attached browser failed. If you see here, attached browser RPS samples, the browser scope failed. So how will you make sure that this will be executed? It can be in any window of RPS samples, but this should execute. How can you do that? So,
Selectors can be star.
but if you
Type.
add selectors with star, the problem that can happen is you can hit on repair, and if you select this particular window, problem that can happen is it can add star to everything. So there is nothing that's placed now.
Okay.
So there can be any window or there can be no window. For example, let's say along with this we have one more window, and in this one more window, let's add Facebook. Okay, now let's try. So when you're saying that it can be any window, so this should be correct, right? It can execute in any window. Let's debug and let's see which item or which window is it picking up. So it picked up the latest item, or whatever active item it has, it picked up. But what about this one? So we have duplicate windows now. Which one will the
Yeah,
bot execute?
the
So
latest one.
yeah, but
No.
see, there can be anything, right? It need not be latest one. For example, sales opportunities. When you continue to work on sales opportunities, which one will it pick? It need to have a unique item to work on.
Okay.
Okay. So for that, what normally as a best practice we do is, so along with title, so if we are finding that title is not something that we can rely on, then we will change the title and we will add URL.
Okay.
Because if you use URL will not change. The base URL will not change altogether. It rpssamples.com will still be available. Opportunities might be changed. It can be anything.
But this can also be in two browsers, no? The same website.
Yeah, so this can be in two browsers, but what is the frequency that it will be available in two browsers until you open it? If you
Hmm.
don't open it in two browsers, then it will not be available.
Okay.
So here what I will do, instead of HTML, I will just add this one. Now when I validate this, I'll get one item and this is what I'll have. Okay. Even if I close this one, let's go back and let's go back to Facebook, which it has. Okay. Now when I go back and edit it again or debug it again, okay, debug file. Now which one did it pick?
The first one.
Let's see. So it refreshed and it verified,
Okay.
but it did not pick the second item because
Because the
now
website link is different, right?
exactly. Now what is it checking? It's checking with the URL properly.
Okay.
Okay. So this like this we can make sure that things are working properly. And if you see here, navigate to opportunities. So this is what we already have. So you can continue to use it. And
So
yes,
here, when we give slash opportunities, if you want to go to sales or some other
mm,
click navigate in
mm,
this link, if I give, it'll keep coming back to opportunities, right? But this is for opportunities page, so
exactly.
it's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it will go into opportunities page only.
Okay, and one more doubt is if there are two, I mean, all element appear and log message inside parallel activity,
Mm.
but last time you gave just on element appear outside the parallel activity, which is a better option? Why and why are we using it like this?
If you want to execute two activities at a single shot, if both should be executed, then parallel should be used.
Okay.
There is also a
Otherwise,
difference. There is also a option with pick.
yeah, what is the difference, all these things?
Okay.
And how should we choose what to use is what is
Simple.
my doubt.
So pick will be used when you want to execute only one branch of the activity. Pick. So pick will have pick branch. Parallel can have any activity, but pick will have only pick branch activity. You cannot add pick branch outside pick activity.
Okay.
Okay. So now simple. Here we have trigger process, right? So whenever there is a trigger, it means that it's expecting a true or false. So any element that gives out true or false can be added up.
Okay. Like on element appear or
On element appear will give you output as UI element. It will not give
the
you
element exists, we can give element exists.
exactly. So if you give element exist, okay, there are two element exists now. Let's assume that there are two element exists. So if you see this or this, so what is pick branch? The name suggests that we need to pick one of the branch, right?
That's right.
So let's assume that we had uh, 2 to 3 pop-ups that can come up.
Hmm.
So pop-up will come for sure, but we don't know which pop-up will come.
Ah,
Okay. Now on the element exist, we will check for the first pop-up. In this element exist, we'll check for the second pop-up. If the
okay.
first pop-up is available, then this pick branch will be executed. This action will be executed, and it will not continue with this pick branch.
Oh, one at a time.
One at a time. So parallelly, it will check for both. Whichever gets first true, that will be executed. The next item will be disabled, or it will not continue with this branch. Let's assume that pick branch second is picked up, and this is a true item now. So it
Okay.
will continue with the action of this one, but it will not pick branch this first one.
Right. But if we complete one action of one branch, the other element appears, then we put it in a loop.
No, no. See, why are you treating everything like everything will be dynamic? This is a automation process, and process should be properly documented. If there is a pick branch that can come, or if there is a pop-up that can come, only one pop-up can appear. If there are
At a
multiple
time.
at a time,
At a
only
time.
one pop-up can appear. Okay.
But
If
once
that,
I complete that activity and
hmm,
close it, another pop-up, we
yeah,
can program.
yeah, you need to program. You need to write one more pick branch activity. If there is an undocumented or uh, if there is a pop-up that comes in altogether when we haven't documented it, and if we don't know, then it's a process failure. That's a system exception
Okay.
that you need to handle. Then you need to go
Fine.
back to the code. If it is in production, stop the production execution, go back to the code, find why there is an exception, write the code and deploy it back.
Fine.
See, we cannot do magics in RPA. We can only automate the process, whatever that's existing and whatever we know.
Fine.
Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, Vajra.
So when will you use parallel activity? When you need to run all the activities or all the branches inside those, then we will use parallel. But pick branch, when you want to handle only one action, but other actions you are sure that it will not come, then you will use pick branch. What happens if you add click activity here and here? Both should be executed, but one will for sure fail because there is only one pop-up. Only one pop-up need to be closed. The other pop-up need not be closed, or it need not be checked.
This is something somewhat like a switch activity, right?
Yes,
Whatever
correct,
case.
correct.
But
Switch
what is the
activity.
difference between pick and switch?
In switch, you cannot add a element exist. So for switch,
Oh,
you need to know what is the output.
okay. This is more of a web-based thing, pick branch, and switch is more of a text-based kind of
Yes,
conditions checking
that
kind of
is for code.
code. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So now we have. Let me take it out so that we'll remove
Thanks,
the.
Vajra. Thanks. This was something that was really in my doubt list,
Yeah.
big time, because they are asking every time this question.
It's simple. Just tell them that whenever there is a pick branch activity, it means that there is only one set of activities that we need to follow. Remaining items will be disabled or it will
Yeah,
not
actually,
execute.
they don't directly ask pick branch parallel activity. They just say, see, I have a website. I have these
Okay.
pop-ups coming in randomly,
Yeah.
and I do not know how many pop-ups will come and how long it will take last each pop-up. So how will you track this? It's very difficult in real-time scenario when we are using generic websites, and we do not know how they have programmed their pop-ups. So when we are accessing those websites, we want to avoid that situation. What is the best way to handle? Our team is working on it, and we are also figuring out and all. They say like this kind of practically. So
So one more option that we have is on element appear. Let's say that there is a pop-up.
Okay.
and you closed. So at the
Okay.
end of on element appear, what you will do, you will add one more activity uh, that verifies whether the pop-up is available or not. Here you will have one more activity called element exist. So what
Okay.
exactly are you doing after clicking or closing the pop-up? You are also checking if there is a new pop-up.
Hmm. Oh.
So, and we will keep it in while loop. So this should be placed inside a while loop.
Oh.
So inside while loop, what are we doing? So we are checking, or you can also add do while. So first time you will do some activity, then you will check. So difference between do while and while do is while do will first check with the condition, then it will
Cuts.
execute. But do while will first perform an action, then it will check whether that action is completed or not. So on element appear you have. Now here you will write a if condition or boolean condition, like whether pop-up exists or not. Bool pop-up exists. So when there is pop-up exists, then it will go back into this workflow again. It will
Hmm.
continue till this pop-up exists is false.
Wow. This is really nice.
Okay.
Yeah, Vajra.
So that's how
Thanks.
you will do it.
Yeah. I listen to this recording and try my own other in a different, practically I'll try to see if I'm able to catch these pop-ups.
Sure.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So Sudhira, you have been silent. Can you tell me what can we do next?
Yeah, actually, I have a question,
Yeah,
Vaishran.
tell me.
Previously, when the bot is picking up the browser,
Hmm.
it did not pick up the Facebook browser. It went back to the one which is opened, right? The sales
Yeah.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yes.
So what if the browser is not opened? It will open the new one.
No, it will not. Attached browser will not open a new item. Only open browser will open. If
Okay.
if there
So
is a
or, so
browser, it will attach and it will navigate. If there is no browser, then it's a system exception.
okay. So so it's better to use like open browser, right? If it is
So
like
how many
un-
times will you use open browser? Every time you cannot use open browser, right? For example, the website is already open. Why do you need to open it again?
no, if the website is not opened.
So for that, you need to use the element exist activity to check if the website is open or not, and then handle it accordingly.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to the code. So we have only 15 minutes of the time for the class to be completed. But yes. So where are we? We navigated to opportunities. Then
Yeah.
what do we need to do? Then we need to extract data, right?
Yeah. We need to download that.
So, so I can download it. So all I need is instead of adding download, I will just add a sequence, add a workflow. So I think this is a new option that they have provided. Nice. So in this workflow, what exactly I need to add? Um, rs underscore extract opportunities. So why am I adding it multiple ways? Because in future, if I don't want to extract it by using data scraping, but I want to download it, I need not change in all the workflows. I have only one specific workflow that I need to work on.
Okay.
Here we have data scraping. Click on next and hit on any table value. Yes. So what do we have? We have account name, country, everything we got. And number of results is by default 100, but if you keep it to 0, then it will be any number of rows can be picked up, and there is no pagination as well. So if there is a pagination, there will be a next item that you can see it here. For now, there is no pagination. So no to indicate. So what do we have? First we are attaching a browser, then we are extracting a table. But can we attach any browser here? We cannot, because the opportunities page should always be open. Only then we can extract the data table. Okay, so a simple catch or something that people will not observe in extract data table is continue on error property and timeout in milliseconds. So how much time do we need to wait for the data to be extracted or to be available? By default, it is for 30 seconds, and we are changing it to 3 seconds so that it will not wait for 30 seconds to extract all the data. And continue on error will be true because if there is a span button, so what exactly it will do is it will check whether that particular next page is available or not. And if you keep it continue on error to false, then what will happen? It will stop or it will throw error when the last page is not found, because in the last page we will not have the next page activity or next page button. In Amazon, if you see, if there are 10 pages, after the 10th page it will not have a next page to click. So
Wow, this is like from purely from your practical experience observation.
yeah, so continue on error will be true, so that by default it will be true. So if you don't have the last item as well, it will continue for the next item. Okay, so now what we will do, we have extracted a data table, but do we need to use this data table here? We need to send it to other workflows as well, right?
Yeah. You can send it as an argument.
Exactly. So this extract data table, let's change it to argument. Convert to argument. And while converting it to argument, this should be an out argument, because it needs to send data outside the workflow. Out underscore extract data table. So whatever data table we have, we will extract it. Okay, let's add a breakpoint over here and let's debug.
Just one quick question here, Vajrang.
Mhm.
So there is screen scraping. So one of them asked me, if you don't, without using a screen scraping, can you extract value from this website? No data extraction, no screen scraping.
Yeah.
What is the alternate method?
Find children, find elements.
Find element or recording also is one option, right?
See, recording also will give you again data scraping only.
They are the same. Data scraping and
So data scraping
is it for
is directly
data?
to get data, but recording will also provide you an option for data scraping only or screen scraping.
But data scraping is for structured data like a table. Is it is recording also like that?
So
Or
recording,
unstructured?
yeah, for unstructured data, you need to go back and read all the data, and you need to use regex. So that's a different story here. But yes, if you don't want to use extract data table, then you can use find children and find number of rows, all the rows, because this is a structured table. You have rows. So this will be element 1, this will be element 2, this will be element 3. And after you
Okay,
get
if it's
all the
unstructured
elements,
data, if it's unstructured data, they are asking, not for structured like a table.
so whatever
What
it
is the
is,
alternate other than screen scraping? What will you do? Don't use screen scraping or data scraping. What is the alternate option you
find
have?
children,
They ask.
find children.
Okay.
Find
Find
children will give
children.
you all the children here, and then you can use get text activity to get item from it. Now if you see here, extract data table, when you hit on step into, okay, so the out extracted data table is something that we are getting. I'm not able to hit on the pen symbol. Just a second. Yeah, we got it. So you have all the values here.
Okay.
Okay. Press continue to close. So what are we doing? 3 steps. First, we'll open a website, navigate to opportunities, and extract opportunities. Done? Or anything else do we need to do?
Yeah, we don't need to download the Excel, so we can just, now that data table is there.
Okay, so I will change this requirement a bit different. Now everything should be sent into a single queue, but while performer, you need to segregate the data depending upon the region or country. Okay, depending upon the country or depending upon the yeah, depending upon the country only, right? Sorry, yeah, depending upon the country
Currency.
currency, yeah, depending upon the currency we will add it to different queues. That's what I said. For now what we will do, we'll create it and add it to one queue, but while extracting the data, then we will find whether the currency is Europe, then we will change it in the performer process.
Okay, but we have done the workflow in such a way in dispatcher we are checking this condition.
Where did we do? We haven't
Work,
done anything, we just extracted it. The code is not at all written till now.
not the code, the process flow diagram.
Exactly, so the process flow diagram is there, we can change it. Okay, now, so I want your idea. What exactly and how exactly do we need to do? Now, if you see here, first we opened a website, rpsamples.com. Now navigate to opportunities, then extract opportunities. So what is the data that we are working on? What is the variable of the data that we will be working on? Do you know the difference between transaction item and transaction data?
Transaction item is a queue item.
Or any kind of item that will be executed one time once at a time. Or one item will be picked and we will work on that particular item. So that is transaction item. What is transaction data?
The value of the row inside each of the values that are there.
Okay.
Correct?
No, transaction data can be the complete data table that's available.
Oh.
Okay. So this extract workflow, I'm giving it to transaction data table, transaction data.
Vajran, can you repeat once again? Transaction data item.
So transaction item is one row. Transaction data is the complete data table.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Now
you.
if you see here, what are we doing? Open website and navigating to opportunities and working on the opportunities. Now this should be okay. Let's make it a bit interesting. So do you have, so you have the orchestrator connected, right? So someone asked me, how will you use the URL from asset, right? So now asset will be there in the config, right?
Yeah.
So all I need is I need to add in the config and then the key name, config of whatever the URL dot toString.
The name of the asset.
Exactly. So the name of the asset that you have maintained inside Excel sheet, not the one that's there in the orchestrator.
Yeah. You can open that. It is in the data. Yeah, config. Input file.
Okay. So instead of input file, this should be actually URL. But we are not writing rs underscore URL because that is again linked to orchestrate reset. But for now, we need to take only the name URL. Or you can just
The
try.
key.
To maintain consistency, what we will do is we will write both with the same names. RS URL will be asset name also will be RS URL to maintain consistency and to avoid confusion.
So
But we'll
while
not know whether we're accessing the key or the value then. That's fine.
Yeah, because the key and value, if they are same, the value will anyhow be picked up from orchestrator.
Okay, fine. Better we use the same value, is it, for key and value?
Yeah, because it will help us to identify
Identify
that
in.
this is the correct item.
Okay, fine.
I'm not able to add R underscore RS caps. Can you please add?
I'm also not able to add. 1 second, let me try.
Vajrang, so here the config name, it goes to the name and then the value, and the value takes us to the orchestrator, right?
So all the values are already picked up in the initialization init all settings. The config
Yes.
sheet is read and all the values are already added up in the dictionary.
Yes.
So we are just picking the value from the dictionary, nothing else.
Okay.
Oh God, something happened. 1 second. Suddenly it stopped working. Can we try it again? Where is? How do you open this?
Just copy and paste if it's not working.
Yeah.
Copy it. Okay. So now we'll pick or get the value from orchestrator. So let's just see if the orchestrator is available. So it's Purnima Bhaskar's workspace. Okay, if I click on this, then it will navigate. Okay. So
You
can
can
you?
continue with Google.
Okay.
Yeah, second one. Second one.
Okay, and then orchestrator. Okay, so this is my workspace by default, and if you see here, there are 4 queues. Q underscore USD default. Okay, for now, what we will do, um, we'll add one more queue, and what we'll do is we'll add
Q underscore dispatcher.
Okay, so we'll add this queue, and let's add it. Or also let's add it here. The constants or settings. So Indian queue you have, default theme you have, so business process name you have, but you have deleted default queue item, default queue name. So if you have deleted that, then you should also change it here. If you don't change it, then it will throw an error. RPA samples framework, get transaction item, get transaction data. So here what do we have? In configure orchestrator queue name. So by default it will be orchestrator queue name. If you change it, then many places you need to change. So that is
Yeah,
the
we
reason.
can keep the same name here. Yeah.
So that's the reason we will not change it normally. Okay, so here we have queue underscore RPA dispatcher, right? Okay, let's save it. And okay, let's close. Let's also take it from here. Cancel. And in the main again, we are going it only to the main. So what exactly are we doing? We read the data and we are sending in the in values as URL. So once you have the URL, you are copying the opportunities and you are extracting the opportunities. Now there is an option called add queue item, but I'll use bulk add queue items. So when I use bulk add queue items, I can directly give a data table instead of one item at a time. So that is transaction data. So what is transaction data here?
Is it a type? Is it the type of transaction data table itself?
Yes, by default it's data table.
Okay.
So what is transaction data? Whatever data that we have extracted is assigned to transaction data. Now we are adding it all the values into orchestrator queue, whatever the queue that we have.
Oh, just in one shot instead of giving in
Exactly.
a loop and all.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and kill the process. So kill process, what kill process will do? Will kill the process. So let's kill process. And the process name is iExplore, Internet Explorer. Okay. RE, not ER. Now if you continue to debug, okay, we are extended by 5 minutes, but we'll complete the code in 5 minutes, next 5 minutes. So if you see here, Internet Explorer is closed. iExplore is the name. For Chrome, it will be Chrome. If you don't know what name should you give, then search online. So if you observe, everything is in first run.
Right.
So we are not adding anything else anywhere. Let's also see this. So we navigated into sales opportunities, extracted values.
It's opening some other browser also.
It's opening as a default. Like the home window is with this one. That's the reason. Okay. Let's see where are we. So attached browser is trying to execute and it's not able to find it. So let's help it.
So because it opened another window, that attached browser is not there.
Yeah, but it actually should retry. So let's put on retry. .com itself is throwing an error. Let's hit on repair. F2. Okay. I think open browser itself. Cancel. There is an issue with open browser. In the init state, I think I gave URL of open website. Okay, rpsamples.com. This is done. Then how did it navigate? Navigate to opportunities. It should not navigate me to this workflow, right?
When you say navigate to opportunities, does it open another browser or it uses the open browser one itself? It goes to that because you are attached browser, it will just go to the sub thing, right?
It will go into the same browser.
Okay.
Okay.
So that should be okay.
Yeah, open browser is completed. Then it should give me something like this. So what I'll do, I'll try to add a breakpoint over here to just see how things are moving in. So let's go ahead and debug. So debug will start from main, run will start from main. Debug file will start from the same file. Debug run file will start from the same file. 4 options. Debug and run will start from main. Run file and debug file will start from whatever the active file that is, that's what it will execute.
Okay.
Okay, so we are opening a item. Not sure why the hell is it opening opportunities. In URL. Okay, I think I guess I sent
It's
it
taking from
from
the config and prioritizing it, is it?
main. Yeah, I think so. So workflow name, I think I gave it here. Arguments, rs URL. So in rs URL, okay, I got it. So what is there in the asset?
Opportunities. Oh, we should give only samples. Correct now, Ajran?
Yeah. So
Down.
that's the reason. So let's assume that in production, if we need to just change it in the production, see the pain that will happen when you need to go into the code and you need to update rather than just updating it in asset.
Yeah.
Now it's easier. We just need to update it. So when we execute for the next time, it will continue to the work, or you can just restart it. So there is the changes would be less. So that's how the planning should be made. But again, that comes with experience.
Yeah.
So if you do at least 5 to 6 or 10 projects, then it will be easier.
Okay. Vajran, there was we were talking about bulk queue ad, right?
Mhm.
So there was a question that okay, I don't know about whether we can use bulk queue ad here, but they were saying that every 30 seconds or 40 seconds, or I mean, sorry, every 30 minutes or 40 minutes, there'll be a new Excel that comes, and all the items have to be added into the queue, but only the non-duplicates. How will you do it? They asked me.
Okay. So for that, you need to use something called unique items. When you're creating um, a data table, or when you're creating a new queue item, there will be something called unique queue items.
Oh.
So using that, you can do. Like it will not
In the orchestrator, we have to set it, is it? The settings will be there. It's called unique.
correct.
And if it encounters a duplicate, all it will do is it will just skip and move on to the next one. No error will be thrown.
Exactly. Like it
Oh,
should be written in try-catch block, and if there is an exception, you can handle that. If the exception is with a duplicate, then continue, or if there is
continue
except,
on error. Continue on error is true. We can put that.
you should not keep it something like that. So in the catch block, you need to handle it separately. So if there is
Okay. So
only exception that's related to this, only then you can do it. So okay, now what's happening? So now this is the thing, and where are we? So this is the URL. Okay, we navigated to this URL. Stop. Edit selector. So this is throwing an error. Let's hit on repair. Okay. Okay, I think I entered the wrong window. Repair and this window. Okay, again it picked up with this item. Cancel. So if you want to select that particular item and if you don't want to see, you can also indicate element. Fat. If you press F2, then it will be on hold for some time.
Hesitation. Okay. Yeah, so I think somehow we managed the call.
Okay. So here we have RPA sample apps. In this, let's go ahead and select this one and see why it's not coming. So rpasamples.com slash, okay, star.
all this is mostly trial error, no, Vajrang? We have to just experiment and see what works and all. No, there's no like.
No,
Spec-
there is a logic. See, I cannot go and do trial and error for 100 times.
Okay.
Just a second. So first thing, we are going to check with the parent, and if the parent is not working, then we'll go into the children. So my target right now is to check with the parent, and if you see here, the change is RPA HTTPS instead of HTTP. So I can get either S or without HTTP. So if I just place a question mark, then it will take.
Oh,
So question mark will replace only one item, star will replace 0 or more
multiple.
items. Okay. So question mark will replace 0 or one item, star will replace 0 or any items,
Multiple items. Okay.
multiple items. So here we just need to, I think you can just add,
Variable name.
no, not that. Okay. Let's go ahead and then let's hit on debug. Okay. So I'm debugging it again. So each and everything, it's RPA is not some magic. If you have some information, you are just telling a robot how to do it. If
Yeah.
the process fails, then robot will obviously fail. And business are
Yeah.
aware of it. So even in
Hmm.
the interview, if they say that, okay, if the robot fails, what you will do, then you will say what are the steps that you will need to follow, that you need to make sure the bot will come back, or if you need to update the code, if you need to find the attachments, or if you will check with the screenshots, what exactly will you do? That's what you need to say or answer.
Hmm.
Okay, continue. So it picked up data table. Continue.
Where?
If you see here, bulk items are added, and inside the workspace, queues, dispatcher queue, view transactions, you have all the items that are updated. Okay. Now, if you see, all the items are added to this queue. But how can I add items to the next queues? Okay, tomorrow we'll see that. What you can do is, I will save the recording. But Purni, if you want, you can try. In
What is it?
process, add one more add queue item and add the values to this queue. USD, if it is USD, then add it to USD queue. If it is INR, add it to INR. If it is Europe, add it to Europe. That should be done in process state.
Okay.
Okay, that you try and try to resolve. Just hit on continue step into, then you will get to know. But others, do till here for tomorrow.
Actually, even this I have to again go through the recording and understand it once again, Vajra.
Yeah, so what you can do is first zip it and send it in the Teams so that everyone can access. But the
Yeah.
best option would be to commit the code in the GitHub. Copy all the code, place it in the GitHub folder, commit it, and let everyone know that you have committed and make a pull
Yeah.
request.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, so I'm stopping the recording and